a very, very dear friend, and his wife.
Under the bright lights of the stage, thousands of attendees at the University of Mississippi rose to their feet, applauding as Erika Kirk walked out. Just 7 weeks earlier, she had been a grieving widow, mourning the loss of her husband, Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA. Yet now, she appeared calm, poised, and composed. The event that evening was meant to honor Charlie, a man once seen as a symbol of young conservatism in America. But no one could have predicted that one fleeting moment would ignite a firestorm across the internet. On stage, Erika held the microphone, her voice trembling slightly but full of emotion. She spoke about the memories, the lessons, and the faith her late husband had left behind. The audience was silent, every word seemed to touch their hearts. Then suddenly, she smiled and said a sentence that made the entire room go still. "No one could ever replace my husband, but I see many similarities in Vice President J.D. Vance." Moments later, J.D. Vance, the young vice president, stepped onto the stage. The two walked toward each other and shared an embrace. It lasted only a few seconds, yet that hug became the most talked about moment on the internet for days. For some, it was a deeply human moment, a friend comforting a woman in grief. But for others, especially those watching online, the gesture felt different. Too familiar, too effortless, and too public for a memorial service. Within 24 hours, clips of the hug flooded Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Comments poured in, dividing the public. Some expressed empathy, others voiced criticism, while countless people were simply curious. It seemed that in today's world of social media, even a single hug could spark a global storm where every viewer felt entitled to define its meaning. What began as a simple act of compassion soon turned Erika Kirk and J.D. Vance into the center of an unprecedented debate, not just about emotion, but about faith, public image, and the fine line between empathy and what some saw as crossing a boundary. After that memorial service, the hug between Erika Kirk and Vice President J.D. Vance quickly became one of the most talked about moments on the internet. In an age where every second is recorded, shared, and dissected, just a few moments on stage were enough to spark a global wave of debate. Clips of the two standing close, exchanging glances, and sharing that brief embrace spread online at lightning speed. The more people watched, the more divided they became, one side sympathetic, the other skeptical. Supporters of Erika said she was simply expressing gratitude and respect toward her late husband's close ally, a man who had shared the same faith and vision as Charlie Kirk once did. To them, in the face of deep loss, sometimes a single hug is the only thing that keeps a person standing. Some even praised J.D. Vance for his kindness and compassion, showing up publicly to comfort a grieving friend. But critics saw it differently. To many observers, the hug seemed too intimate for a memorial, especially given reports that J.D.'s wife, Usha Vance, was present in the audience that night. Soon, social media was flooded with slow-motion replays and body language breakdowns. Analysts examined every gesture, every look, every touch. Some claimed Erika's hand on J.D.'s shoulder felt personal, while others argued it was simply an instinctive reaction born from emotion. Things grew more complicated when media outlets began reporting reactions from Charlie Kirk's family. According to multiple posts, his parents were said to be heartbroken, not out of jealousy or anger, but because their son's legacy, barely at rest, was now overshadowed by controversy. To them, the memorial should have been a sacred moment of remembrance, not the center of online chaos. Yet, as with every digital storm, once the story started, there was no stopping it. YouTube channels, podcasts, and news sites rushed to cover it. Each retold the event in a different way. Some called it compassion taken too far, while others saw it as a misunderstood act of empathy. The more people debated, the wider it spread. A turning point came when a clip of J.D. Vance's speech from that same event resurfaced online. When asked about his marriage between a Christian and a Hindu, J.D. replied, "I believe in the gospel of Christ and hope that one day my wife will be moved by that same faith." It sounded harmless, a simple statement of belief. But that one line became a new spark for controversy. Some saw it as heartfelt. Others felt it was poorly timed, given the ongoing emotional climate. Within hours, hundreds of comments appeared questioning whether the remark hinted at distance between J.D. and his wife. From there, speculation took on a life of its own. Theories emerged that J.D. and Erika had grown closer after Charlie's funeral, bonded through shared faith and professional ties, perhaps even more than friendship. None of it was proven. Neither party confirmed a thing. But online, truth often matters less than whether a story spreads. On Twitter, hashtags like number Kirk Vance and number Turning Point Drama trended worldwide. Some users stitched together side-by-side videos comparing Erika's demeanor before and after Charlie's passing. A few accused her of rebuilding her image too quickly, while others defended her right to heal and move forward. Through it all, Erika remained silent. No posts, no interviews, no statements. Her quietness only fueled the mystery. Some interpreted it as grace under pressure, others saw it as strategy. Each day of silence inspired more commentary, more theories, and more videos attempting to decode her motives. Meanwhile, media experts began weighing in with a broader view. They called the saga a perfect snapshot of the digital age, a time when every gesture by a public figure can be lifted out of context and turned into a symbol. A single frame, a glance, a touch, all open to endless interpretation. Long before the truth is known, the story itself starts living its own life, spreading, morphing, and reshaping reputations. Political analysts offered another perspective. Behind the drama lay a powerful lesson about public image. J.D. Vance, a sitting vice president, and Erika Kirk, an influential conservative figure, are both people under constant scrutiny. Every move they make carries weight. A hug can be read as an act of kindness or as a breach of decorum, and that duality shows how, in today's hyper-connected world, public figures no longer live for themselves alone, but for the gaze of millions. The situation also ignited a wider discussion about faith and identity in modern life. JD's remarks about religious differences within his marriage touched on delicate themes, spirituality, culture, and unity in diversity. Religious leaders later said his words were likely taken out of context. But once a video goes viral, control slips away. Amid the noise, many began to realize that the true power of social media doesn't lie in information, but in its ability to manufacture collective emotion. Empathy, outrage, curiosity, admiration. Once a story catches fire, every detail becomes magnified. An expression, a sentence, or even silence itself can be interpreted 100 different ways. By now, the Erika JD story had grown beyond personal rumor. It had become a cultural mirror, a case study in how politics, media, and private life intertwine in the 21st century. What started as a simple embrace opened a larger conversation about boundaries, public versus private, belief versus image, truth versus perception. And perhaps the most striking takeaway isn't about who these two people really are to each other, but about us, the audience watching it unfold. In today's world, truth may occupy only a small corner of the story. The rest is shaped by imagination, emotion, and the relentless speed at which we share it. In the end, no matter how the public debate shifts, the story between Erika Kirk and Vice President J.D. Vance remains without a clear ending. Perhaps it was nothing more than a sincere moment of connection, two people sharing faith and grief in the same space. Or perhaps it stands as a perfect example of how modern media can turn a single human gesture into a global emotional storm. Whatever the reason, one thing is undeniable. That hug revealed a simple truth, the power of imagery in the digital age, where every emotion is magnified, and even silence can become a headline. Amid endless comments, analyses, and speculation, maybe the real question isn't about who's right or wrong, but how we as people face our own emotions. Truth versus perception. And perhaps the most striking takeaway isn't about who these two people really are to each other, but about us, the audience watching it unfold. In today's world, truth may occupy only a small corner of the story. The rest is shaped by imagination, emotion, and the relentless speed at which we share it. In the end, no matter how the public debate shifts, the story between Erika Kirk and Vice President J.D. Vance remains without a clear ending. Perhaps it was nothing more than a sincere moment of connection, two people sharing faith and grief in the same space. Or perhaps it stands as a perfect example of how modern media can turn a single human gesture into a global emotional storm. Whatever the reason, one thing is undeniable. That hug revealed a simple truth, the power of imagery in the digital age, where every emotion is magnified, and even silence can become a headline. Amid endless comments, analyses, and speculation, maybe the real question isn't about who's right or wrong, but how we as people face our own emotions. Because behind every viral video and trending headline are real human beings with faith, pain, and the need to be understood. So, if you believe that every story has more than one side, and that behind every wave of online noise lies a quiet lesson about empathy, then hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to join us as we explore more stories like this where faith, feeling, and media collide. After all, what truly matters isn't the storm itself. It's how we choose to stay calm and see through it.